Thank you for all coming out tonight to Beer and UX. We're super excited that finally the Beer and UX community is over 1,000 strong. So round of applause to the new members. For those who this is your first time here, my name is Chris. This is my business Matt, and together we are members of Neuron. We are a user experience design and product design agency located right here at 650 California. So a little bit about Neuron. Besides hosting these monthly meetups, one of our core principles is design documentation. So Matt and I went to school together in Boston for building architecture. So there we essentially made blueprints of buildings like the one we're in now. And we brought that same ethos to the design of digital products, where we created blueprints, but for mobile apps, software, and websites. So we were super excited when Eyeon, who is the product we're showing tonight, came to us a few months ago and showed us essentially a tool that does all the stuff before Sketch, all the critical documentation that's so key to conveying sort of our design thinking to clients, stakeholders, and if you're at a larger company, perhaps an upper level manager. So documentation, it's important to us. And Eyeon, it's really catered to the needs of us as digital designers. They are actually based in Oregon, so they weren't able to come, but they prepared a little short video that sort of explains the product, and then we'll get into Matt and I's takeaways from using it the past few weeks.
Yeah, you can really think of Eyeon as kind of a suite of tools that you would use in the design documentation process to help you justify your decisions, how to get sign-off on decisions, and do all the sorts of things that you would need before you move into visual design and high-fidelity wireframing in a cohesive environment that really feels like all of your project work is in one place. Right.
Design documentation tool made by designers for designers. Export, share, or collaborate easily. Better documentation, better design. Get started right now.
So the key takeaway there essentially is that Eyeon is design documentation simplified. So what does that mean to us? Well, currently, actually, when we started Neuron, we didn't even use Sketch. We used tools like Adobe Illustrator, and then we brought those designs to Adobe InDesign. There was this constellation of tools that really honestly didn't make sense for the design of digital UIs. In fact, tools like Adobe InDesign are fundamentally for publishers, for people creating printed documents. So the difference with Eyeon, it's fundamentally from its core designed for digital products. And as such, it really reduces a lot of the cognitive load that you might face using something like InDesign. Whereas with InDesign, you can really drill down into like, what's the gutter of this page? What's the margin and offsets? It sort of gets rid of all of this. And actually one of the points I'll discuss later is the artboard's actually infinite. As you drag additional objects onto the screen, it just gets large. So it really doesn't impede in any way your design process. So with all that said, Matt and I put together 9 concepts that we think are worth noting, that hopefully you'll have your own takeaways when you get your hands on the beta product yourselves. So the first is to boost project buying rates. So this is sort of what I was talking about earlier. At Neuron, design documentation is part of everything we do. It's very much part of our ethos, but if for any reason it's not part of your own, I think this kind of like removes any excuse to not document. Honestly, you know, I've been working with a client over the past few months on a design task where it wasn't very well documented from the start. And I feel like, honestly, since May, mostly what we've been doing is redesign work. So versus actually doing proper documentation from the start, then it's kind of a litmus test for any future designers that jump on their projects. The second is honestly illustrating your decisions. So currently, we use things like Google Docs, we create bullet point lists of product requirements, create long form paragraphs. I mean, you know, users' attention rates kind of drops off quickly. Maybe they don't have time to read 2 pages of your documents. So fundamentally, all of the documentation you're doing here is much more visually oriented. And the third thing that's really important is collaboration. One of the reasons our firm actually did migrate from Sketch to Figma is the fact that in real time we can collaborate with Figma. And that's baseline of core affordance here. We think it's something that all teams going forward would like to see.
Yeah, so when you start out with Eyeon, everything's organized around the concept of a project. And within the project, you'll have all of your documents associated with it. Those documents can range from a user journey, a persona, all the way down to feature sets, sitemap, and wireframe. So it's really one place where you can have all of these cohesive aspects of that early design process within one environment. This is great because they have pretty much every document you would ever need for this, and that's growing as our needs as designers grows with the users over time. What's nice is that it also, the people who created Eyeon are designers themselves, and they were noticing these kinds of pain points in their own workflows, and they've really taken the time to construct each one of these document templates and features with just the core functionality that you really need in order to create those documents.
So the next point I'd like to discuss really is kind of close to heart. So when we're actually developing the software we design, we use robust tools like Jira or other Atlassian suite products, maybe Trello, to basically understand, is this approved, is design, is it ready for implementation, is it ready to deploy, versus our current process where Chris uses Apple Notes and Matt uses Google Notes, and I don't know, sometimes people use Asana. Well, here, real-time collaboration can occur in the context of the design itself. We're actually making comments, making tasks, and a project manager can say that this is approved, this design. And the ninth point is really similar in the sense of, depending on your team structure, you could have a really senior UX architect and also perhaps a more junior UI designer. And in fact, maybe that UI designer is an expert at laying out all these wireframes. Well, here this really fundamentally democratizes that process, where because it's such a kit of parts, you can quickly stay within flow and create a variety of user story iterations and different layouts, whether it's in site mapping or otherwise, without being roadblocked in any way by needing to download a kit of parts or go to flaticon.com and finding a magnifying glass SVG or something like that. So what is this exactly? I guess quick show of hands, how many of you use something like Balsamic for your wireframe currently? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I think it's best to think of it in that context. This is for that super high level, low fidelity wireframe. This is when you want to test through a lot of things, see which holds up, because obviously it's extremely hard to change fundamental UX architectures from a development perspective. Even when you get into the nitty-gritty of UI design, it's not the best time to be trying so many options. So for the demo features that Matt and I have been using, it's the free offering for all of you guys. This can allow us to create high-level, low-fidelity mobile and web wireframes. It also can allow for 2 collaborators, so thus far it's just been Matt and I using it. And we can export it to SVGs, so if you need to communicate with any other programs you use. So with the Pro features, something that changes, you can have unlimited collaborators, you can have access to over 12 document types, so not just low fidelity, mobile and web, but also sitemaps and all these other features. And you can export your documents to a more shareable PDF format. So we've been speaking frequently, honestly, many times actually this week with Eyeon to understand what it's going to be like when we want a full suite. And we're actually surprised. It's actually only $20 per year per seat, which we thought was very competitive. Honestly, one thing we do like about Sketch is that it's a yearly cost, one time, you set it and forget it, versus Figma that's quite frequently bleeding us dry each month. So $20 once a year seems pretty reasonable, and we'll be raffling off some seats this evening. It's also platform agnostic. We are an Apple shop, but it also works on Windows, so that's probably worth noting. So what are some of these document types? So currently, Matt and I have been playing around mostly with the high level, low fidelity mobile and web. But also, if you get the Pro version, what's nice that we have seen demos of is you can actually change the screen elements. You can customize the actual screens themselves to bring a necessary level of fidelity for certain clients. And I guess quickly going back, you can see here this development features. That's going to
Yeah,
discuss.
what's interesting about the Pro version as well is that a lot of those document types are actually kind of helpful guides for yourself as well if you've never created those. It kind of shows you what types of questions to ask and how someone can kind of learn to create a user persona just by sort of understanding the template that they've created. They also do wire flows for web, site mapping, which is a pain point for us particularly because we've used some SaaS products for that. We've also sketched it by hand, drawn it in InDesign and Illustrator. We kind of have a standardized template for that now, but what's nice about this is that it incorporates it all into this one ecosystem where we can jump back and forth between the sitemap and feature set and really understand the corollary between them.
Yeah, and the next up are a variety of process diagrams, snare maps. Full disclosure, the first time someone said they were going to send me a PRD, I need to Google search what that meant. It turns out it's product requirements doc, but fundamentally, I think this is what Matt was talking about, democratizing this whole process. There's certain expected mapping diagrams and processes that different companies have, and from here you can sort of select from templates and fill in the information as you see fit.
Yeah, in addition to that, they have other mapping things like mind maps and content models, as well as user persona creation. So really you can see there's a lot of that documentation and design thinking process that you do at the beginning of a project that really can just come into its own with all of these document types within one project.
So I think the key takeaway here is there's these 15 key document types, but there's more coming soon. So that was encouraging to us because it actually felt like an open door policy. If you have any interest in downloading the product yourself using a free or pro version, essentially if you are interested in something, they'll actually work on it. I think one thing that's most interesting to us is sort of a potential ability to make parametric sitemap to a feature set. Because often we find ourselves making decisions throughout the documentation process and just simply there's not time to go back and change some of the early feature sets.
Yeah, and it seems like a little thing, but connecting something like a feature set to a sitemap is actually really important because a lot of times we have to go back and dig into our documentation in order to understand, okay, what were we proposing at the time and where is it kind of evolved to now?
Yeah.
And this way you can update it all in Stride, which is really nice.
All in one program.
Exactly.
So yeah, Matt's going to walk through some of the process, and then at the end, we're going to show some screenshots of us actually using it.
Yeah, essentially everything lives within the project. You select from the document types, and as soon as you select the document type, it opens up and you can immediately start dragging and dropping and doing all sorts of design-oriented things to create visual connections between a lot of the elements. Drag, drop, and customize. It also has the share and iterate features that Chris was alluding to before.
Yeah, and really here, I guess, with the sharing, it's important for us in terms of, I don't know, just getting by in that certain phase and allowing sort of view-only permissions out to certain users so they can leave comments without needing to see themselves. Basically, we don't want to onboard this product into our workflow and share with potential client and tell them they have to get a seat. You can share this with people who just have view and comment permissions. So from this, I think the takeaway we'd like to leave you with is that this can really help you to better evolve your design documentation workflow, to really make this a core part of your user experience and product design process. And we hope you have your own takeaways as you use it, and of course share with the Eyeon team. And I think without further ado, if everyone could get ready their raffle tickets.
Okay, we're going to go through some more screenshots of the product after.
Yes.
We're about to do the raffle now.
So we have the fish bowl, okay, or a snack bowl. So the first thing we're raffling off is actually to 3 individuals, 3 beer UXers, and that is a complimentary 3 months provided by Eyeon.
Okay, so I'm going to pull 3 tickets.
And if your ticket is called, please go back to Natalie or Michelle in the sort of back corner area.
Okay, so first winner is 935038 Yang. Second winner is second winner is 935022 Jay.
Awesome. A local weed worker.
And 935036. Xander.
Yeah. All set.
So yes, you just head back there, and then the Eyeon team will reach out to you to give you your seat, hoping sometime next week.
Grand prize.
Yes, the grand prize. So this one's exciting, especially if you're on a team. This is a year free suite for not only yourself, but for your design team members. So have your ticket ready, drum roll.
All right. 935032. Richard.
Wow, Richard, the team from Get Around.
Congratulations.
You can head back there at your convenience. So yes, definitely in general for everyone, you can download the beta version free product next week, just like Matt and I have been using. But for the lucky 4 and your associated team members, you get the pro version.
Yeah, I know you guys still might be curious what the product looks and feels like, so I'm going to walk you guys through a couple of screenshots here. So when you first open up Eyeon, everything is organized initially into these templates. And once you create a new project, which you can do simply by right-clicking anywhere within the user interface, I could create a new project here. But what's nice about the templates is that, say I'm working on a mobile flow for a specific app that I've been working on, I can then package that template up and then reuse it on another app if I want to follow a similar process or have similar flows incorporated into it. So if I create a new project, I'm just going to go ahead and name it here. And then within there, here's where all my documents would live within here. So if I create a new document, I would select from all of these types here. In the free version, we talked about the mobile and the web flow. So I would select one of those. And I would name the document. And here's an example of this kind of drag and drop UI for doing wireframes. So what I really like about it is that if you guys can't see on that side, I can show you after, but there's essentially all these drawers of typical categories of screen types, various gestures like tapping, various action icons that you can take, like emailing someone. It essentially puts it into, you can organize things into these flows and you can add as much detail as you really want. Adding text labels. They have a variety of different types of login screens, for example, or security code screens, anything that would go into a typical mobile application. And this library is growing all the time, which is great. What's also really nice about Eyeon, again, is the collaboration. So if I wanted to add someone to my file, it's a very quick process. And I would select what project he would be collaborating with me on. They would get an email, I would be notified that the new collaborator is joined, and then we could exchange chat messages on various tasks that would have to be completed here. So if you guys are familiar with using Figma or any other collaboration design tool, this would feel pretty familiar to you. What's interesting about a lot of these templates that they've built out is that in the Pro version, they have a little bit more of a higher fidelity version of this, where various components that you can compile screens with will also be available, so you won't necessarily be restricted to the 6 list item view here in this user flow. Also, you can set specific documents within your project to a specific status. For example, if you need to set it for review with your manager, you can do so.
I guess back on the last one thing that really interests me is here in the bottom right.
Yes.
I don't know how many of you have been in a sketch file and you have no idea where you are. It happens to me daily. Well, now you can find where you are in this handy key. So, I mean, because the artboard is infinite, and as you drag things increasingly, it just expands. It's helpful. I think this is like,
It's not just a key, you can drag that around.
yeah, to navigate.
It's quite nice. But you can see the kind of the high level that this provides. It's much more visual than even a feature set could provide. So when you're working with different stakeholders that might not be as familiar with reading these long documents, it's a very easy way for them to understand the concepts and the flows. And this is just one document type that they provide. This is showcasing some of those templates we talked about. So in this case, this is a mobile user flow template that I've created. And if I wanted to use that on another project, I could simply click the menu, copy the document, and add it to either my templates or to my Gray project here. And that's just a sort of sneak peek at the UI that they've developed, and basically one document type of that long list that you saw before. So it is very interesting how each unique document type has its own specific feature set, and everything is very streamlined and optimized to accomplishing the tasks that those documents require.
Yeah, I think at this point, we'd be happy to take any questions from you guys. If you have questions for Matt as experience working with it, I'll run around.
So those wireframes that you guys get to pick from, can you upload your own wireframes, or you have to wait for Eyeon to come up with new ones?
I believe that that is the library that they have now. Once you check out the beta, you can see it is very extensive. They're constantly releasing more. But yes, essentially it's a lot of your common tasks and screen types that you would need to convey the overall concept.
So they essentially provide a kit of parts that you can drag different elements, call to action, or carousel onto an outline in each of those.
So you can't import new visual elements?
No, this is very much pre-high fidelity.
Okay.
Essentially, this is your project repository. Does it allow you to link out to other artifacts that are part of the product itself? Just like if you're able to link to Figma or to some other web artifact you created.
From my understanding, you can export as SVGs and import them into your other project types, but I believe not in reverse at this point. That could be in their roadmap also. They're going to answer some of these questions as well. We can send them out.
So it's like laid out like this, but is there like a play button where someone can actually click through the interactions, or like Envision or something like that, or is that just it right there?
That is, yeah, that's it at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a similar question to that, but it's really to understand the visual system as opposed to a prototype, for example. Seeing the whole network of actions together on one screen as opposed to clicking yourself like you would in Envision, for example.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Some more status on the product itself. It's in beta right now. Is there a release version as well?
Yes, next week, Chris, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
I'm to understand that, yeah, sometime within 7 days, ideally no later than Wednesday, there'll be a production version. We have a production version of it on our computer, but I think that's just a general process that they need to go through. Yeah, I mean, I think the key takeaway here is that it's just exciting to learn about this design tool being developed because there's so many sort of prototyping programs on the market today for creating micro interactions and all these tools and even getting user feedback. But I mean, this is core to our business at Neuron to do documentation. So to have something essentially other than Adobe InDesign was welcome news to us.
Yeah, and from my understanding, you're going to be able to customize some of the graphics and color schemes and things of these templates in the future as well, so you can brand them to however you'd like to present those. That's what I believe is in their roadmap right now. So that's pretty exciting. And I know as designers, we're often hesitant to adopt new software. I know I was even moving back in the past from Photoshop and Illustrator to Sketch when Sketch became the new sort of it thing. And now, going from Sketch to Figma, but I think a product like this that really brings and compresses a lot of phases into one piece of software that looks and feels like the visual design software that you're already using, it makes the whole process just so much more fluid. And I think visually as well. So having a tool that kind of moves and thinks and feels as fast as I'm kind of working is really nice. I don't like going back and digging through tons of different files and linking things together just to make myself more familiar with what I was thinking 2 months ago, for example, or that someone else wrote. So we're excited about this product.
So I think this is that time of night where I plug Beer and UX. If any of you are a guest of a Beer and UXer, please take out your Apple product camera and this will bring you to our meetup page, or if not, that's fine as well. I think the key takeaway is that we do this every month, and for November, I believe November 13th, we want to learn about all these new members, 1,000 plus members. So we're going to do, for the first time ever, Matt's idea, Pecha Kucha of 5 members. What is a Pecha Kucha? It is a 20-slide, 6-minute and 40-second presentation where each slide is intended to last only 20 seconds. So we encourage 5 of you loyal Beer and UXers, whether it's something you're working on at school, in General Assembly, or something at work that's not like covert ops, like whatever, or just something you're doing on the side, just a pitch kucha about you as one of the UX community members here in the Bay Area. Yeah, just we need 20 slides, we need 5 of you. So definitely come up to Matarai at the end if you're interested, and we'll probably send out an email blast as well, but we kind of want to turn the tables on you guys and learn better about you and less about Neuron for the next one. So thank you for coming out tonight. It looks like there's a bit more pizza and beer. And
More beer.
thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.